What's going on, guys? Sean here, and this is just kind of a background right here, but we are going to talk about steel. This is kind of some of my steel supply here, and yeah, we've got some people's favorite steel here, M390. We've got some knives that I stopped working on to work on other knives, etc., prototypes and things like that. But this video is about steel, and really we're talking about how that relates to performance, because people ask me a lot of steel questions, and they truly want to know. The problem is they're just not very good questions. And I'm not saying that I've always come up with good questions on my journey to learn all this stuff. But at the same time, people ask me a question, and I understand the spirit of the question that they're asking me. But the biggest problem is that they don't have the context to understand the real answer that I would give them. And the answer that they're looking for is something that's very surface level that would actually do them an injustice to answer them in that fashion, because all it's going to do is set them on a path of more confusion or just chasing a bunch of bullshit that doesn't really matter. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's really important when it comes to performance and steel and etc. Okay, and this is an ongoing topic. Okay, this could be a fucking book. This can be like a 2-day video of just 2 days straight of just talking about this shit. But we don't all have time for that kind of crap. I don't have time for that kind of stuff. And, I don't have time to explain it from every point of view that will make sense to every person. So that's a very, very tall order. So let's get into it. So first off, for the most part, when somebody's knife is not performing, the first conclusion they come to is that, well, your steel is inadequate. They tell a buddy, hey, my knife isn't performing. What do you think is going on here? And what does the buddy usually say? He says, hey, man, I think you just don't have a good steel. You just need a better steel. And so that kind of starts the addiction. That's what kind of starts the whole questing. Like, there's all these different crazy steels and you do all these crazy different things. And the thing is that it's kind of setting you on the wrong path, isn't it? Because somebody who's a little bit more around the block about this stuff, somebody who's a little bit more intelligent about this stuff will tell you, you know what, maybe it's more about the heat treatment. That it's not really the steel's fault, but really it's about how it's heat treated. And so it's like, okay, now we're getting warmer, all right? Somebody's paying more attention. Now, the real thing, though, is when you become really, really advanced with knife stuff, when you really are playing around with knives and really trying to push the limits to their performance, and you're trying to see what makes a knife perform insane and what makes a knife perform just kind of fucking mediocre, it's geometry. It's geometry. It was always geometry. And let me kind of draw the point here. You could have something that has great steel and that has great heat treatment, but if the geometry is poor for the task at hand, for the task it's designed for, then it doesn't fucking matter. Okay, so if you're trying to take a knife and you're trying to use it as a knife to cut something with, to slice and to cut, okay, that's what a knife is actually designed to be for, but we've kind of lost our way on that a little bit, haven't we? There's an obsession with intense durability, and we'll get to that in just a bit here. But if it has great steel and great heat treatment, but it's so fucking thick that it just crushes and mashes everything that you're trying to cut and slice, it doesn't fucking matter what the steel and heat treat is, because there's no way to actually express steel and heat treat if it has the wrong geometry for the job. All right? Now, on the flip side, if you're taking a knife, okay, and you need something durable because you're that kind of person, you're that type of user, and that's what you like, and you're just trying to bludgeon everything, and you're just trying to use it to chisel, scrape, pry, survival type situation. Oh, my life depends on it. I need to use my knife as an anchor to rappel off of fucking Grand Canyon with, that kind of stuff. Then yeah, a knife that's designed to be a good knife, even with the best steel and the best heat treat, it's just going to break, because the geometry is designed to accentuate steel and heat treat for the purpose of cutting. And so it's no longer going to be that durable type fashion. As it turns out, to make a knife super durable, the heat treat and steel don't need to be the best. That's just purely geometry. That's why when it comes to super durable type knives, it's just silly, because all that relies on is just geometry. The steel and heat treat can be mediocre, all right? They can be cheap, and you're still going to get the durability. So it's pointless. When you buy some of these really durable tools like cold chisels and things like that are super cheap, that are just designed to be super durable and just whale through stuff, that's not fancy steel and that's not fancy heat treat. That's just geometry, soft steel, soft heat treat. So there's nothing exciting about that. Now, what is exciting is when you have excellent steel, excellent heat treat, and the geometry to actually express it. The thing about that is that you also need a good user to truly appreciate and utilize it properly. All right. That doesn't mean it's as brittle as glass. People have this, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. Like, it's just, I need something more durable. You don't need something more durable if you're using it to cut stuff with. Okay. Because if it's great steel, great heat treat, and great geometry, you're set. And if you're using a knife to be a knife, it's designed to cut and slice stuff. So just use that in that fashion. Now, people are always trying to find something that could do everything. People watch a lot of movies and TV, and they have this kind of fantasy about what knives are capable of or what they can do. I think we've all watched, Conan the Barbarian, when he takes a special Atlantean sword, and he takes it and he fucking cuts the chain in half. He's putting metal on metal. Most movies and stuff where they're clanging the swords on each other, no magical sword, steel, heat treat, or any of that stuff can stand that kind of stuff and still cut good. Okay? That's bad for the steel. It's bad for the edge. All right, no edge can hold up to that. It's just like how in movies when you see these machine guns where they never need to be reloaded. The belt never runs out. Or you see guns that just don't overheat and the barrels melt. That's a huge problem actually, as it turns out. There's all these preppers and people like that are like, oh man, I've got this, AR-15 and I've got like 1,000,000 rounds of ammo and I'm set. I'm good to go. Well, if you're actually like overrun and you're trying to go through all those bullets, your gun's going to melt before you actually shoot all those bullets. That's a huge problem. That's the reality versus the fantasy. And it's the same thing with knives. No matter how thick you go with the knife, no matter how tough and crazy the steel or any of that stuff, if it's designed purpose built for durability, the edge still folds and rolls and stops fucking cutting. Now, the argument for that side of stuff is that, hey, at least it sharpens back easy. That's what, instead of having to fix a chip, it's easy to fix a roll, etc. The problem is when you take that steel and you put it into an actual cutting roll where you want lots of cutting and slicing, it fucking blunts on you and rolls all day. Okay, so it doesn't actually hold up to cutting and slicing. It's a huge compromise. It's essentially like taking a bicycle and keeping training wheels on it so you don't fall down. The problem with that is that's going to limit your goddamn performance, isn't it, when it comes to actually using your fucking bike. Take the goddamn training wheels off, fall down, get back on your fucking bike and learn how to ride it. And it's the same way with these knife steels. If you want extreme performance, you need to be a better goddamn user. I'm sorry for saying that, but I do get a little fed up with the community as a whole when it comes down to it. People need to be better at sharpening, and people need to be better at using their shit. And there's just no two ways about it. This has turned into a little bit of a rant, but so be it. So just keep in mind what's in this video with this. You can have great heat treat, you can have great steel, but if you have poor geometry, then the knife, it doesn't matter. The knife is going to suck for performance. Meanwhile, if you have just good heat treat and good steel, but great geometry, that's going to totally outperform the knife that has the better steel and the better heat treatment. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.